How do that, guys, and welcome back to Edgar TV, where today it's another insight video looking into my life on the professional darts circuit, but also taking a look at some of the little hidden gems that you may not know about within the PDC contract. Now, some of these things you probably see on a regular or daily basis, but didn't quite realise that they're actually part of the contractual terms. Some of them you may not even realise or notice at all, and when you see it, you'll be like, that's a cool little insight. And I'm going to pick out some little gems of those things that are just so publicly visible and accessible. Now, the first one is something a lot of people know about now, certainly because of things during COVID, that if you're a PDC player or contracted player, tour card holder, you are not allowed to play on streamed events or any sort of broadcasted event, whether that's TV or internet based. So even if you go to your local open and your final is streamed, you cannot play in that event due to that streaming. That also comes down to personal as well. So when I was a tour card holder, I couldn't just come on here and play subscribers like I do, or I couldn't just come on here and do a practice session. Can't be on those stream events. Now, I think this is down to a couple of reasons. One is to protect the players and to protect their intellectual rights, that they don't want their players to be seen all the time outside of their organisation, because then where's the glamour in seeing them within the organisation, especially when you're trying to sell a ticket to see that player. The other one, I think, comes down to the fact that if it's non-DRA regulated or things that along that sort of line. Now, during COVID, there was a guy in Ireland, I believe it was, who put together a bedroom competition. I think it was Ryan Meikle playing Luke Humphries in the final, and the bookies priced it up because at the time there was nothing going on, and then that's like an unregulated event of just two guys playing darts across the internet in the bedroom, and that could have, let's say, unregulated, it could have opened up a world of anything, so it wouldn't have been under those terms. Now, I'm not saying the players wouldn't have played to the best of their abilities, but it wouldn't have been sort of a DRA sanctioned event. So because of that, I think that's the reason as to why that rule exists. So some people think it's quite a harsh rule because they're like, well, it'd be great if we could put a tour card holder on our stream, but I get the protection because the integrity of the sport is the priority. So understandable when you put it in those sort of terms. Another one, point number 2, this comes down to exhibitions. Now, an exhibition you might see all the time where there's these sort of show exhibitions, or a player will come down to your local venue and they'll play your players. I do these sort of things all the time, so if you are interested, get in touch on the social media platforms below, or I'll put my email address down in the description as well. You can get in contact to see if I can get on your show. But I do these shows all the time. And now there's a couple of rules and restrictions that come with this. The first one, and this is something you might not notice because some of these lineups are stellar lineups, especially some of the ones that you see with Modus or MDA. And the first rule is you can't have more than 4 tour card holders on your exhibition. So a maximum of 4. So that's why you'll see some of the lines where you go, right, okay, it's got Mike Smith, Michael Van Gerwen, Aspinall, etc. And then you'll see people like Mardell, Bobby George, Martin Adams used quite regularly because they're not tour card holders, but they're big names that people would still want to see. So only a maximum of 4 tour card holders. Now, the other thing that comes with that is to do with the distance and the radius. Now, that exhibition can't be within a certain area with the PDC's running. Let's use Blackpool, the Winter Gardens, the World Match Play, for example. If it's near the World Match Play, you cannot put an exhibition on within 30 miles radius of the venue and 28 days either side of the venue. So you can't run in June or you can't run in August. So a PDC tour card holder couldn't put an exhibition on in Blackpool in August or June or July when the event is taking part. Abroad, that's even more so. So that is 56 days either side of the event and a 50-mile radius in Germany, Austria, Holland and Belgium. Excuse me. I won't edit that out. Now, this is because, again, it's to protect the rights. So if a week before 4 players rolled up and put an event on, are people going to buy a ticket to come see the PDC? So yeah, I get it again. It protects the event and it protects the organisation, the promotion and the drive behind the development of the darts. So fully understand why, but it's just a little bit of an insight there into, if you are someone that follows the exhibition circuit, what you can expect to see in regards to those. Another one, this goes back to a little bit like the streaming, but you cannot play in any event that incorporates the title World. This came up recently with the WDF World Championship as it's called a World Championship, you can't play in it by contractual terms. Now, this is where it could get a little bit sketchy, because I remember during COVID there was a COVID World Championship or an online World Championship or something along those lines. Technically, the PDC Tour card holders shouldn't have been allowed to play in that event due to the fact it used the word world. Now, the ADC was going to run not a World Championship, but they're going to run something called the World Open. Now, that would have been the same thing. World Open, it's got the word world in it, can't play in the event. Next one, I think this one's going to be really interesting for some people, because at the moment we've got Christian Perez and Corey Cadby, who are not taking part in any events. Now, this is down to visa or travel restrictions that's not allowing them to come in to play those PDC Tour events despite winning a PDC Tour card. Actually, there is a clause in the contract that states if you do not play any PDC sanctioned events within a 12-month period, the contract can be terminated. So this contract would have been signed last January on the gaining of the tour card. The PDC could revoke that tour card come next January. Huge little bit of information there, which is why this insight video is going to be so good, because I get asked about this a lot. What happens with Corey Cadby? Can they take it off Corey Cadby? Yes. After 12 months, Corey Cadby could be terminated from the PDC contract that he signed on the back of winning the tour card at last year's Q School if he continues to not play in any PDC events. Another one is that the contract will run up to 30 days after the completion of your tour card. So if you lose your tour card on January the 2nd, you're still bound by the terms of this contract for 30 days after that. So this means, for example, if Lakeside was to run on January the 30th, you can't have players that have just lost their tour card take part in that event, because the contract still has a 30-day window on completion of your PDC tour card. So another little bit of an interesting thing there, that just because a player might lose his tour card in November doesn't mean that they then can start playing events in December. It's more like February until they can start playing in these sort of things, or streamed events, or anything that goes against the terms of this deal. Social media. Now, this is an interesting one. Now, the players are required to follow all PDC social media. They are required to like, share, and comment where appropriate PDC content, and be required for up to a maximum of 2 posts on any event on request on personal social media platforms. So that means they could say to Michael Van Gogh, Michael, we want you to put a post out about you going to Bahrain. And then when it comes up, right, we want to put another post out, you're going to Bahrain. That sort of thing. Or they could say to the players, right, everyone in the World Championship, you've got to share this post. Contractually, you'd have to do that. So a little interesting one there with social media as well. But yeah, I've got to follow all the platforms. I did mention in a previous video that the PDC don't directly communicate with the players. They don't go, this is the rankings, this is this. The PDPA, that's their responsibility, I suppose. But that's probably why they want you to follow those channels, just to stay up to date with all those latest announcements, so you're not missing anything in regards to any sort of information that you should be receiving. Last one I'm going to give you, I've spoke about this one before as well, the levy. As per the PDC contract, you are agreeing to pay the PDPA 2% of every bit of prize money you get before you receive it. So, you go win £1,000, 2% of that £1,000 goes to the PDPA. This has been reduced. It used to be 3%, it's down to 2%. But it is in the contract that you have to give that levy on top of being a PDPA member, which is £500, plus the DRA, which is £50. So that's £550 up front, and then 2% of all prize money throughout the year, contractually agreed within that when you get your tour card. A couple of little interesting bits there. A few really interesting points that could come up pretty soon. Like say Christian Perez and Corey Cadby, we might see this clause invoked on them in the near future. But let me know what you've thought about this. Did anything open your eyes to this, or was this sort of just what you'd expect to see? Let me know down in the comments section. I'll be hanging out there having a chat with all of you. Please do hit the subscribe on your way down. I'll be putting lots of different insight and prediction and news and all sorts of videos right here. So if you are a darts fan, stay right here, Edgar TV. I'll catch you soon for another thrilling episode. Edgar TV.